Hello, dear. It's Heather, and you're watching Save Today with Heather J. I'm somebody who has spent her entire adult life living paycheck to paycheck and being one life event away from financial crisis. And so to change that, I have decided to create a budget and a budgeting channel to share the journey with you and hopefully hold myself a little bit more accountable and get out of that paycheck to paycheck grind. I would like to get out from underneath my debts. I would like to be able to buy some large ticket items, and I would like to be able to have money set aside. I'd like to get to the point where life events no longer cause me financial crisis. I'm not there yet, but that's the direction we're trying to head. So if you'd like to join me on that journey, I invite you to go ahead and click subscribe, and let's see where we're going to go. Because I don't find budgeting to be very exciting and rewarding, I have decided to bring some of the crafting that I like to do into my channel at the back end. That I do find very rewarding. I needed to find something positive to look forward to in what can often be a very negative budgeting. It's just not fun for me. So that will always be at the end of my videos. I say always. I've been doing this 3 months. I don't know where I'll be in 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. I may stop that. I may create a second channel that addresses just that. But for right now, that is where I'm at. I'm currently working on some pot holders made out of jeans. That's what you see here in the background. Today's video is going to be my August week 1 flexible spending check-in. I check in 5 different categories each week to try and be aware of and control a little bit more some of the flexible spending, some of the things I do actually have some more control over, and some of the areas that I just have a tendency to spend without any real thinking. So for me, that's my groceries, dining out, transportation, art, and miscellaneous. Those are the things that in theory I have a little bit more control over. I can choose when and where I shop, and how much I purchase at each time. I say in theory, like transportation is on here. I don't have any say so over how much a gallon of gas costs, but I do have control over which gas station I buy it at. Do I buy it at the most convenient, closest spot, or do I go searching for where the cheapest place is? I also have control on how much I drive around and therefore how much I'm actually using. So that falls under my flexible spending. Same with groceries. I can choose any number of places to go get my groceries. Some are some real bargain value kinds of places, and some are some very high-end types of places, and we all have a choice on that. So for me, for week 1 in August was the 28th of July to the 5th of August. I didn't look at my schedule or the calendar right before this video. I should have been a little bit more prepared. So we're going to look and see what I spent and where I spent it in my flexible spending. And so I go on the 28th. I spent in the groceries category. I went to Kroger's and I spent $24.31. A little bit of groceries at $24.31. This was probably just some incidentals, maybe some milk and bread, cheese. For $24.31, it wasn't obviously a very big grocery shopping trip. On the 31st, in the miscellaneous category, I went to Petco and I spent $16.58. That may have been on some bedding to clean the bottom of the birds' cages, or it might have been on some toys. I did need to get the birds some new toys. They were getting fairly destructive. Also on the 31st, in the groceries category, I went to Kroger's and spent $32.58. On the 1st, In the dining out category, I went to McDonald's and spent $7.46. I have no idea what this was. At $7.46, that's pretty obvious that it was just a single purchase. It wasn't me getting a meal for more than one person, but I don't know. Was that lunch? Was that breakfast? Was it just fries? Like, I don't know for certain what that particular meal was. On the first, in the miscellaneous category at Marathon gas station, $18.19. That was something for the family member who had surgery. They were not able to get there. They weren't yet at a point where they were walking and able to leave the house, so I had to go and grab something there for them. On the second, in the groceries category and Kroger's again, $23.57. Now at this point, this was so long ago, I have no idea what any of these transactions in the groceries may have been. When I do know, I'll sometimes list it out, but honestly, there's a lot of repetition. I often go and get a gallon of milk, some cheese slices or some shredded cheese, maybe a loaf of bread, sometimes some hamburger buns. There isn't a lot of variety in what I buy when I go in for these small purchases. I'm just not at a point where I'm being very creative with my grocery budget. I'm just getting the super basic stuff to get me to the next little bit. On the second in the groceries category, I went to Aldi's for $5.44. I don't often shop at Aldi's, and so I'm surprised with how many that has been in the last couple of weeks. I have no idea what I got here, but when I do go to Aldi's, it's oftentimes just to get something for lunch at work or to get something to add to what I have brought from home for lunch at work. And then on the third in the dining out category, I went to Wendy's for $5.35. They have a $5 bag or box or whatever they call it, where I get a cheeseburger and some chicken nuggets, fries, and a drink for $5.35. And so that's what that was. And obviously, again, at $5.35, that was just one person. But that's a fairly good price for a pretty significant amount of fast food. And on the third in the miscellaneous category, I went back to Marathon once again to get something else for the person who had surgery. And again, I don't know what that was at this point in time, because I made a couple of trips, but I don't know what each of those were. That was at this point at least 2 weeks ago now. That was it for my spending in week 1 in my August flexible spending category. Let's go and take a look at what that does for my total numbers. In the groceries category, those 4 transactions, I spent $85.90. This month I had given myself $140 a week for a total of $280 per pay period. And so I still have $194.10 left in that category to spend the rest of this paycheck. In the dining out category, I went twice to 2 places. I spent $12.81. I did not give myself any money when I set up this budget in my dining out category, so that is entirely red, $12.81. Honestly, $12.81 is a very good price for having eaten out twice at fast food. I have no idea at this point what it was. I do know that this was the week after surgery. I was very stretched for time and very overstretched emotionally, physically as well. So that those would have been very much convenience situations. I did not get to take any time off of work to help care for my family member. So I was needing to care for them during the times I was at home and then having to rush off to work. And there was very little time for me and for planning and for big meal prep. It was just pretty much deal with what's in front of me and then go deal with the next thing in front of me. In the transportation, I did not end up having to spend anything that week. I did not get the gas tank filled at all. I had given myself $40 a week for a total of $80, and I do still have that entirety left. In art, I did not spend anything. I had not budgeted anything, so I am neither green nor red in that category. And then in miscellaneous, I did have those 2 purchases at the Marathon. And again, those were for the family member who had surgery and was not able to leave the house yet. And so that is what that's for. I did not give myself anything in the miscellaneous category as far as the budget goes So right away, that's in the red. Am I upset that that's the red? I have no hard feelings for purchasing what I purchased for a family member who was at the moment unable to care for themselves. So no, that's not a problem. I knew when I set up the miscellaneous with $0 that there likely were going to be things that would come up, but I just didn't have extra money to say, oh, let's just choose to spend whatever, $60, $100 in miscellaneous. So I know anything coming up is going to be in the red, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy the things that I believe would fall within that category. So that is where I was at the end of week 1 in my August budget. So I feel like I did fairly well at that point. Very small amount of groceries, very small amount of dining out. My only miscellaneous was definitely not anything that was unnecessary. That's the word I'm looking for. So that I feel pretty good about where we're at. I do have still $220 left to carry out the rest of for week 2. We'll see how that how I do when I get to that. And then for those of you who are hanging out for my craft project, that's where I'm at now. I am this month working on turning some old jeans I have harvested into some hot pads, pot holders. I know those things are called different things regionally depending on where you're at. But I have some jeans that I had worn out in the thigh that still had a lot of very usable fabric. I had struggled with the idea of simply throwing them away. So I've harvested them and I've been using parts of them for a lot of different things. And I have chosen to use the pockets to try and make some pot holders. And that's what you see here in front of me. I did have 6 of these little coin pockets. So that's how many I have sewn together. So I've sewn a coin pocket onto a back panel and I've saved all of this extra. Right now I haven't cut all this extra off. I don't know yet how this is gonna kind of come together. Am I gonna do something really long and narrow that just encompasses the 2 pockets? Am I gonna add some extra stuff to what's happening up here? Am I going to try and make it a square? I'm still playing with how this is going to look and how big it's going to be. So I'm still toying a little bit. So I do have the 6 pockets that are sewn together right here at the top. And I just kind of want to flip through and see. There's a lot of variety. These aren't super duper shiny, fashionable. I mean, you're not going to see this in a high end. This is very much a reuse. I use what you've got. Where I could, I did match the original coin pocket with the original back pocket. And then where I didn't have it for whatever reason, you know, I did some contrasting stuff and that's fun too. So I have I have 6 of those. And so that must mean that I had 6 pairs of pants that I had harvested. I wasn't really certain how many I had. It might have been a 7th pair of pants because I think I had 1 pair of pants that didn't have actual pockets. It's the weirdest thing when manufacturers will make a pair of pants and there's not actually pockets available to them. But I did have 1 pair that where it looked like it had pockets, but they were all stitched shut. So I do have an extra one where it's just the little silver part. But that's what I've got there is 6 of these. And I did have to do some sewing machine maintenance when I was working on these, and so that kind of slowed me down. But anytime I'm putting together something, starting with just what's in my head, it always takes me significantly longer than when I'm just following a pattern, and that's where we're at with this. Each of these jeans, pockets, pants, they're the back pocket as well as the coin pocket. Each of these is a slightly different size and shape, so that's going to mean each of my hot pads are a slightly different size and shape. And I haven't cut off any of the extras on these just because I don't know really how that's going to end up at the end of things. So I'm still just taking it one step at a time. However, one thing that I did have, once I got all 6 of those done, I was left with 4 back pockets. Now I just said I did 6 pairs of pants. I've made other things out of those, and 2 of those were sacrificed to another project that I had worked on. And I may pull that out at some point and show you. But what I'm left with here is 4 back pockets that don't have a coin pocket to go with them. And as I was looking at this, I thought, you know, this would be fun to do an apron with some pockets in there, like a tool apron or a work apron, you know, something that's just around the waist. You know, maybe you're putting your yard tools in there or something. But 2 of these do have these little beads and shiny bits on them, and 2 do not. So I thought, how fun would that be to have 1 sparkly pocket and 1 plain pocket, and have an apron of some sort, or like for the side of the couch to tuck the remote in. I don't know. This has just got my creative juices flowing for what can I do with this. I certainly can just go ahead and turn this into a hot pad on its own. In all honesty, this pocket all alone, without using the coin pocket for the thumb, is a very decent size for a hot pad. And in and of itself, it could still be that. And that's the same effect I was trying to go for, with having your hand to be able to slip inside and then grab the thing. So I don't know what I'm going to end up doing with those, but when I saw that I had 4, the idea of an apron with 2 pockets seemed really nice. I mean, I could do 2 plain and 2 sparkly, but these 2 sparkles really, I feel like, compete with each other. So I'd like to have it where it is 1 of each. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but that is all where I'm at for this week's, this video's project. Just a little bit of forward motion to show for where I got from the last video to this video. And we will just keep moving forward on this, 1 stitch at a time, just like we're going to keep moving forward on the budget, 1 microscopic step at a time. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for checking in with me. I will see you tomorrow for tomorrow's video. Again, I'm behind schedule, and so tomorrow I will be filming my week 2 flexible spending check-in. So we'll see, did I do as well in week 2 as I had done in week 1, or did I completely blow the budget? And I have no idea how far I will get with my project overnight at this point, but that's where I'm at, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, please have some fun. Bye bye now.